All right, everyone. It looks like China is going to try to impose tariffs on U.S. imports, actually, at 15%. It depends on the actual good. And this is part of an economic trade war. Begun the trade wars have. Yes, link in the description. Archived, of course. Here's my feeling. China can only lose this particular encounter because they are a net exporter to the United States. We already talked about Canada and Mexico and the result of that. China has taken a different tack. While Canada and Mexico said, no, 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 don't tariff our goods, and we'll play nice, but that's border-related mainly and drug-related more than anything else, China is not in the same position. So they don't have to play the same game. The problem is if you're a net exporter to a country, and the country tariffs those goods, and you impose a fairly limited tariff on certain goods from a country that you're a net exporter to, they win. And that's exactly what's going to happen here. What's going to happen is that China is going to come to the negotiating table, and something will be worked out. It'll be the same as Canada and Mexico. The difference is that the Chinese economy is much bigger, and Chinese manpower is much bigger. Now, let's say that we go through with a tariff war with China. What ends up happening? It incentivizes U.S. businesses because all of a sudden the prices of Chinese goods rise. It incentivizes the outsourcing of labor to places like India, Vietnam, Thailand, competitors of China. They don't have the same capability as we do with regards to a tariff war. It's not even remotely comparable. I have a feeling that Jinping will meet with Trump very soon, and then negotiations will begin. Probably the tariffs will be suspended on both sides. There will be some sort of trade deal that is actually hashed out. And that's in everyone's self-interest. China doesn't want to lose its capability of exporting to the largest economy in the world, and the U.S. doesn't want to suffer higher prices. That's basically what's going to happen here. Honestly, I don't really care, though. If we wage a tariff war and we end up getting the cheaper goods from India or Thailand or someplace like that, I don't see the problem, honestly. In fact, I think that it's probably a good thing. Oh, you're getting your goods from a non-communistic country. Well, that's probably an improvement. And China needs to understand this, that the populistic movement in the United States is not really friendly towards the CCP. But it appears that Jinping is, in his retaliation, not really fully understanding exactly the situation. Donald Trump was capable of kind of smoothing things over with the goddamn North Korean government. I don't think that he's going to have a problem diplomatically and economically with the leverage of the economy of the United States being a net importer, by the way, in Asia. I don't think he's going to have a problem with this particular engagement. I think he'll be successful in the end. Now, we'll wait and see. It could be that I'm completely wrong. It could be that Trump backs down. He's just not the type that generally does that. I think that Jinping, he's not the type to back down either. He's a strong man, just like Trump and some other world leaders. But it will be a quiet negotiation. It'll be behind closed doors. Donald Trump will go and eat wonton soup and talk to Xi and say, look, we can't really do this. We're just extracting other things, come to the bargaining table. That's probably what's going to end up happening. I wish I had some wonton soup right now, by the way. It has to be loaded with Chinese cabbage, though. It's delicious, actually. One of my favorite foods. Used to eat that at the China Light back when that existed in Lebanon, New Hampshire. But, you can tariff exports to the U.S., but that's not a great idea. Economically, I don't know what goal it actually achieves. I think the idea is put pressure on the U.S. economy and use that as leverage. Basically, raise the price of certain goods marginally, and then maybe people begin to bitch about the administration not realizing why the prices have risen. I guess that's the entire idea. We've also got an inefficient trade system. For example, Poultry farming. This is probably the best example I can give. Poultry is, and pork, by the way, raised in the United States, shipped on ice to China. They are then manufactured into the final product, and they are shipped back. This makes absolutely no sense. In a tariff war with China, probably there would no longer be a reason to do that. Hell, the food might become fresher. I guess that's probably the biggest thing that the liberals can bitch about. They love their canned chicken and shit like that, and I don't understand it in the least. Ultimately, though, the United States would win a trade war with China. Would there be short-term pain? Yeah, absolutely. Would there be long-term gain? Yeah, absolutely. I don't see the problem. If we can wean ourselves off of the influence of China and instead move towards, if you're going to do the importation thing, other countries that in some cases are actually cheaper anyway, it just sort of makes sense. And China, of course, is adversarial to U.S. interests, just like we're adversarial towards Chinese interests. Unless you're under the Bush-Obama administration, then you fully support their imperialism. We've got other countries, for example, that we need to conduct more meaningful diplomacy with. I think India is probably the big one. I'm betting on India to become the Asian superpower. I don't think it'll be China. I think China is going to have some enormous problems over the next decade. Swing towards India, rip them out of BRICS, preferably, do westward ho, so to speak, and then ingratiate, of course. Invest in their economy, import the goods, make them more wealthy. We can try to do like dual investment and things like that, and it would just make sense because they're not a communist country. And ultimately, I just don't like communism. Sorry, red-blooded American. That's about all. Peace out.